Hi everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. I wanted to come in and create a little bit of Halloween for my home. So these are a few vinyls that I picked out that we will more than likely be using today. So this here is a wood disc that I get from Target. And actually, I still have the sticker on here because that's just how I roll. So this is a 12-inch, and they call it craft wood disc. And it has the hanger here, and then also like where you can put a screw in the back. It just comes in like a natural bare wood. I put one coat of my favorite chalk paint on it, and I use this sign over and over, usually on our entryway table. So this just had a design on it for spring. Now, I will say that when I first made this sign, I hot glued my bow and my hanger on. And luckily, it's kind of like a neutral bow. You know, it goes with my decor, so it's not a huge deal. But I will say, if you want to be able to reuse this over and over, don't hot glue a bow and a hanger on it, because then you have to kind of pick a design that goes with that. So I did before I realized that I could use this over and over. The last design that was on here was in permanent vinyl. I simply take my weeding tool, I carefully as I can, just rip the design off. Obviously the paint needs touched up after that. So I just take off my design, I will go in, give it just a rough coat of white chalk paint, and then we start over. Let's say it's a 12-inch, but I do believe that the surface area in the middle that we actually have to put our design on is a little smaller. So I'm going to just quickly double check this. And yep, it looks like it's just about 11 and a half. So disc is probably 12 inches, I'm sure, but the actual space that we have to work with is 11 and a half. So you always want to make sure that even if something says it's a certain size, make sure that you're measuring the area that you actually want to put your design in. I'll tell you the amount of times I did that when I was first starting out. And one of the hardest things for me to learn when I was learning my Cricut was sizing. I always seem to get the size off. So let's go ahead and jump into Design Space, and I'll show you the design that I have in mind. So jumping into Design Space, I'm going to come over to my images, and I already have it selected by bookmarked. And here we have it right here. So I'll go ahead and select that and then select add to canvas. All right, so bringing my design in here, I'm just going to size this down to 50% because I like to be able to see everything in my design without having to scroll up and down. And then as soon as I bring in that design, I'll also go ahead and bring in a circle shape, and I will size this at 10.5, which is the size of the area we have to work with on our sign, right? So I will go ahead and make that white. Just visually, that is the color of my sign, and I like to see what I'm working on. You can see right here, for some reason, this O looks a little strange to me, and I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to look or if it's maybe just an error in the design itself. Either way, it's not a big deal. I'll just go ahead and move this down. I'll size it up so I can see it a little easier. Right now, you can see that this design is broken into a bunch of different layers, right? Which is really nice for me because I want to cut this in a few different colors, so that makes it really easy. So what you're going to do is just come to the top. The name of this design is Hocus Pocus Broom, Broom Co. And then I'm just going to hit ungroup. And now that's going to take all of these different layers, and it's going to let me take one away from the other. So I'm just going to grab my words here. I'm just going to bring this down here. I'll go over to shapes. I'm going to grab a circle, and then I'm just going to make this a different color just so I can really see what I'm doing here. I'm going to size this down just to fit right over this O here. So I'm going to size that up just a little bit. All right, so let's see. So here I want it covering my O completely, but not touching any of the letters around it, right? So I'm going to bring this in just a little, and now that looks perfect to me. So selecting both layers, my shape and my text, I'm going to come down to the right, hit slice, and now that's going to cut this out. So now when I move this, I now have an O that I can bring back in here. And then now that looks more like this O, right? So I'll delete these two inside pieces because I don't need them. And then I'm going to take this and I will just go to Unite, and that will make this all one piece again. Replacing that text back to where it goes, I actually want to hide the circle around it. For me personally, I just like it better without the circle. Now, bringing this in just to get it all sized how I like, and remembering that I have the bow top of my blank, so I want to make sure that I'm leaving some room up top for my bow. I think that looks just about good. And I'm going to come back over, ungroup this once again. Now we can start changing what we want color wise, right? So I know that I want my words to be in black because I want those to really easily be seen, be able to be read. What I'm thinking is, I think my bat I'm going to do in pink. And then I'm thinking my broom I'm going to do in my really, really pretty orange color. And then my stars, I was thinking also my stars, I don't know if I should do it in the pink or the orange. Let's see. So that's the pink. I think that's really cute, right? Bring it in two places. Or I could do it in the orange. And then also, since they're right next to each other, I could lay this down at once. So I think I'm going to do that for both reasons. So what I'm going to do is all of my black layers, so all of my text, I'm just going to click one with shift held down on my keyboard. I'm going to click the next one, shift, click my third one. So this is all of my black parts. I'm going to attach these together. That will help me when I'm going to place my design down because these will place at the same time and it'll help with my spacing, right? Same with this, since these are both orange and they're close to one another, I'm going to attach these. That will help again with my spacing. And then all I'll have left is my cute little pink bat at the top. So this is all sized how I want it. So I'm not going to resize this at all. I am going to come over to make it. Alright, so now you can see my mat with three different mats. I have my black, my pink, and my orange, and then you can see my orange and my black are the two pieces that we attach together. They are cutting together, and this is sized exactly for your design, right? This is how we have it in Design Space, is how it's going to cut. So now with my three mats here, I will get these loaded. We'll use premium vinyl setting for the black and the pink. And then this is it's just a Cricut brand permanent glossy, it says. So I'm going to use my premium vinyl and I'll let you guys know if I had any issues with it, but I think it'll be fine. Okay, so it looks like everything cut perfectly. I cut everything on the premium vinyl setting, which I knew for these two would be just fine because it's what I usually use. I've never used this permanent glossy vinyl, so I wasn't exactly sure if it was gonna work how I needed it to, but it looks like it worked perfectly. So that is great. And it seems to be weaving really nicely as well. I have just a couple places it needs a little help getting started, but great. So my little spider here has these tiny, tiny little legs. So it needs just a little bit of help wanting to stay down. So I'm just gonna take my weeding tool and just try to kind of push those legs through and just encourage them to stay on my cutting sheet. And then I will turn it back around this way. I do not want to lose this project at this point. I do not want to lose my spider. So I'm just gonna really slow down, take my time. There we go. And then now this set of legs, because we're coming in this way, it shouldn't want to lift up as bad as it did that time, but just kind of helping it along here. Yeah, so not bad. Like I said, this was my first time using this permanent glossy vinyl from Cricut. It's a really kind of almost pearl-like orange. It's so pretty because I find it hard to find like a pastel orange, so this is really nice. It's like a pearl, but I think it'll be really nice for this project. I have 2 small pieces here just to kind of get them done and out of the way, and then we have our main black piece there, which did take a while to cut. So I can tell you that those letters are very intricate. Now coming into my main lettering here is cut around my design, saving much of this black vinyl as I can. And then I'm going to flip this over and I will just burnish the back to get all of those pieces to lay down where they're supposed to lay. And hopefully we will have an easy time weeding this out. Well, as you can see, or maybe didn't see, that took me absolutely forever to weed, and I had a few issues. So the letters had like these really intricate designs, which I didn't really notice in the design in the first place. I thought it was kind of just like cut out of the letters, but they were actually like on the side here, and they're like super tiny, thin little My camera probably can't focus on that. I tried to save as many of them as I could, but I'm going to pretty much lose all of those little, I've just decided to lose them from the beginning because I actually like kind of messed up my P trying to save these little embellishments. I have like this little one on the U, which I think is like a perfect little accent, right? And they both stayed, like you guys can't even really see it on the camera right now. It's so small, but I tried really hard to save those little accents, but at the end of the day, it wasn't worth the project. I would rather the project come out nice because these are things that I'm actually making for my home and I want to display and I'm using my materials on. So, you know, I want them to come out. I would have loved to have those embellishments, but not at the expense of my entire design, right? So now that I have all 3 of my pieces weeded out, let's clean up just a little bit here. Bringing in my transfer tape, I will just take my largest design and put that on and then trim around it. So that way I know that if it fits my largest design, I can use it for all the pieces that I need to lay down for this design. Now, taking my transfer tape, I'm going to just pull up a corner, pull a little of it back, fold the carrier sheet down. And when I pull this down, I try to get it like right on one of the lines, just so it'll help me kind of hopefully line this up. Looks just about good enough. So now bringing in my transfer tape, and I'll just kind of bend it in there. And I'm just gonna lay this down. And then I will pull the rest of it out. Laying that transfer tape down on our design, I will then burnish it outwards. Oops, and I have one of these tiny little embellishments that gave me a hard time have now made it onto my design. These things have just been a problem. All right, so we will just burnish this down, and I like to just kind of go towards the center, work my way out towards the edges, and then flip it over, and I will just burnish the back. And then before I pull this off, I'm going to trim this as close to my design as I can. Help me to line it up when I go to put it on my blank. So just trimming around my design. Perfect. Bringing back in my blank. All right, and we're just going to pull this away from the carrier sheet. Just monitoring, making sure everything's laying down. And it seems to be doing pretty good. Perfect. Bringing in a piece of parchment paper. This is just parchment paper from my kitchen drawer. Nothing fancy. I will take my design. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my design on the parchment paper, and I'm just going to kind of bring it up to where just a little bit at the top is hanging off, right? So just like that, just a little bit of our design is up at the top. And then now what this is gonna do is this is gonna let me really look at where I wanna place this. And as long as I don't push this top down and really get that vinyl secured at the top, I'm able to move this around and see where I want it on my blank, right? I'm going to line this up, and since I already have a bow in my hanger on this one, I'm going to line it up with that, right? If you do that step later after you place your design, you can place it anywhere and then center your bow. But since my bow is already here, I'm going to really focus on that. And then remember that I have the bat as well, right? The bat's gonna go up here. For my design, that one of the places that I really focused when I was trying to get this sized was this curve around the bottom, right? So I'm gonna kind of focus on that because I know how I liked it and I know how I had it centered in design space. So that'll really help me. That looks just about good to me. So I'm just gonna kind of lock that in place. I'm gonna come up, laying down that top bit of vinyl. And then from there, this will come right off the parchment paper. gently pull your parchment paper away and then lay this down. So slowly peeling our transfer tape away. Now I'm going to use the same piece of transfer tape for my whole design. So you put it on like a painted surface, it gets a little gunky and you probably won't be able to use it too much longer, but I definitely can use it for the rest of this project. Let's see, I think it's just long enough. Yes, that looks like it's just gonna be long enough. I will go ahead and burnish this down. Turning it around, burnishing my little bat. And then from the front, and then burnish my little bat. These apart and also as close to my design as I can once again. Back in our sign, I'll go ahead and lay our bat down next. Now remember from my design that my bat was right above my C. So that seems to be like the center of the sign. So I'm gonna do it just about there. That looks nice. And I'll just rub it down with my fingers. It's a pretty small design. I don't think I'll have an issue getting her to stay. And then being very careful not to scratch my blank. Oh, look at that cutie pie. So sweet. And then last but not least, I'm so excited about this color. And let me tell you, this vinyl was very nice to work with. So it's always nice when you work with something for the first time and it works out nicely. You could also bring back in your parchment paper for this part. I'm just gonna kind of wing it. And I know that there was a curve in this broom right here at the top. And I know that that kind of curved with the S. So that's where I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna try to line this up, make sure it's straight, and make sure that curve of the broom is where I like it. So that looks really good to me. I'm going to bring in my scraper tool, and then just starting from the center, I'm just gonna kind of go out so that I can get that vinyl laid down, hopefully really nicely. And then I'll just go in, burnish that down, make sure we get it. And then I have a little lip here that's just off the blank a little, so that makes it nice to pull it up. How sweet did this come out? Oh my goodness. It's hard for me to get it all on the camera. I will say the camera is not my strong suit. Love the pink and the addition of the glossy orange. I think it just makes it not too spooky, but just enough. So thank you guys so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you next time. Bye.